All right. That is 2-0. I like the sound of that. Let's stay undefeated for as long as is humanly possible. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show. It is your boy, Jonathan Macri, slowly but surely getting his voice back after I have abused it to no end over the last several days. I think I forgot the grind was like very real, and I am back in it right now. And yes, here we are to talk about a very interesting Knicks game. Ultimately, a good Knicks game because every win is a good Knicks game. This tape of this game will not be mailed to Springfield, Massachusetts anytime soon. And that goes for both the Knicks side of the ball and the Celtics side of the ball. But it nonetheless, there was some beauty in the ugliness, I think it's safe to say. And again, it's early in the Mike Brown era. There's a lot of different directions that we could go for there's going to be a lot of different directions we could go for all of these early games because there's so much, it really is the ultimate Rorschach test. Whatever you were looking for, you were thinking about most entering this Knicks season is where you're going to kind of gravitate towards when you're analyzing and thinking about these games. For me, when I think about this game and I look at this game, I think it is a perfect mix of the old and the new. And what do I mean by that? So we heard before the game, obviously, that Josh Hart would be making his return in addition to Karl-Anthony Towns playing tonight. He was questionable again, second straight questionable designation, second straight game time decision, and second straight game that he ended up playing. So we knew Hart was going to be back. And yet, and I'm just seeing somebody's reporting that OG Anunoby said he is okay. I was going to get to OG in a bit. Seems like OG who had a little scare there, pulling up lame, that he's going to be all right. But we'll get to that in a bit. So Josh Hart back. Josh Hart not starting. And I don't think that was a surprise to anyone. I don't think anybody thought Josh Hart would start in his first game back or, for that matter, his 5th or 10th game back. I think Mike Brown made it pretty clear what he sees as Hart's role this season. What was interesting, however, is that with no Mitchell Robinson, Ariel Hukporti did not get the start. And we're going to get back to the number of minutes that Ariel Hukporti and Trey Jemison played combined tonight, same number as you and me, but it was Deuce McBride. So off the bat, this was shaping up to be the night that so many dreams came true. From the lineup that never could see the floor, inexplicably could never see the floor under the last head coach, to the lineup that got 6 minutes and change in the very first game, to now the starting lineup. And you want to talk about a very quick progression from, 0 to 80. It doesn't get much quicker than that. And I think in doing that, Mike Brown kind of told you what he is all about. And there's a lot, obviously there's a lot of things he's about. He's clearly about playing small. He's clearly about playing fast. He's clearly about putting up threes. But he is more than perhaps any of those things. He is about adjusting. And whereas in the last game against a Cleveland Cavalier team that boasts 2 7-footers, both of which have made all-star teams, one of which is the reigning defensive player of the year, we saw not only Ariel Hukporti starting the game, but Trey Jemison, a two-way player, playing 8 minutes in the game and playing well. Now enter Boston, the premier, even without Jason Tatum, the premier puts you in a blender team in the league. So what does Mike Brown do? He goes away from the big men. And in fact, he does not play any traditional centers at all, not 1 minute on this night. And he goes with Deuce as a starter, and lots of lineups where, every lineup was either Karl-Anthony Towns at the 5, Gershon Yabusele at the 5. We'll talk about him in a bit. Or briefly, again, OG Anunoby at the 5, which we saw a little bit in the last game. And I believe it was when OG was playing the 5 is when he got hurt. Not sure about that, though. So we start off this way, and the Knicks, of course, can't hit the far side of a barn. I said the phrase wrong again. I'll get it right one of these days. Anyway, they can't hit anything in the first quarter. And then in the second quarter, the shots start going down. Through it all, the process, the ball movement, the player movement, the pushing the pace, all of that stuff is still standing out big time. And it was even in the first quarter where they were not hitting shots, it was quality looks. You know, the stat that I wrote down, and I think it was the only stat that really mattered after the first quarter, was that the Knicks were down by only 8 points, and yet they were shooting 31% to Boston's 54%. So, like, they were like literally shooting almost half as well as the Celtics were shooting, and yet they were only down 8. Why was that? Well, it was because of their rebounding, which we're going to get to in a little bit. But second quarter, shots start going down. They go on this 17-0 run. And then in addition to the spacing that we saw in the first quarter and the smaller lineups that we saw in the first quarter and Deuce McBride starting at the top of the game, we get, again, another part of the new, which is trusting more than just your top level guys. And coming off of a season opener in which I had him as my 1-star player of the game, should it probably have gone to Mikal Bridges? Did Mikal Bridges play a better game on balance than Tyler Kolek against the Cleveland Cavaliers? Yeah, Bridges' defense was outstanding, and he hit shots. He just didn't do it in a particularly loud way. I gave it to Kolek. Because I thought what Kolek in his minutes for his role, basically you couldn't do much better than Kolek did. So I gave it to him. And then that is followed by a second quarter in which Tyler Kolek, actually, he may have come in late in the first, I forget, but for his stint in the first half of this game, Tyler Kolek was the best player on the Knicks. And that included making some incredible passes, which we've come to expect from him. Made a nice bucket. But defensively, he showed you, hey, I'm not a pushover. And so the sum total of all of that is that the Knicks were up by 20 points at the half, and we were all ready to build a statue in honor of Mike Brown. I thought I was going to open the post game with the joke that, at this rate, Mike Brown should have come with a warning label that, if you still have an erection after 4 hours, please consult your doctor or check into a hospital or something, because it was, everything Knicks fans have been calling for, screaming for, wanting, begging for years. We were not only getting, but it was working. And it's like, in this first half, up by 20 in a first quarter in which they shot 31%. Can it possibly get better than this? And then we go to the third quarter. Starts off a little sluggish for the Knicks. 8-0 run from Boston. Timeout, Brown. Good timeout. Deuce, as he did 3 times in the season opener, makes a huge play. He made 3 huge threes in the season opener. He forced a great turnover here. And then the Knicks they build back up the lead. And then something interesting happened. The offense stalled. And it was a lot of the pressure that the Boston Celtics were putting on that backup unit with, I believe it was Kolek. Originally I have a couple different ones here. Originally it was Kolek, Shamet, Hart, Mikal, and Yabu. And then that eventually morphed into Kolek, Clarkson, McBride, Mikal, and Cat. But all of that, like it was not working. And the Knicks were getting sloppy with the ball. And like this beautiful offense that we have already become accustomed to and been gushing about over the course of the preseason and over the first 6 quarters, suddenly it's like, where was it? It couldn't bring them out of this muck. Again, given just a little bit of pressure from the Boston Celtics. Thankfully, the Celtics, weren't hitting a ton of shots. And well, mostly that they just weren't hitting a ton of shots. So they could never fully get over that hump. But like, if this were a different team, this could have been a real danger zone. And so what happens in the fourth quarter? How do the Knicks bring this one home? That's where we get to the old. And we get to Jalen Brunson being Jalen Brunson and doing Jalen Brunson things. The reigning clutch player of the year takes 7 shots in the fourth quarter, makes 4 of them, takes 4 free throw attempts in the fourth quarter, makes 3 of them, goes for 12 points, and one massive 3 that was, for all intents and purposes, the nail in the coffin. So we got a classic Jalen Brunson performance. Now, were there times where we were watching the offense in the fourth quarter where Jalen Brunson was doing the exact thing that Mike Brown said, like, the Knicks were not going to continue doing, which was basically holding the ball until there were like 8 or 9 or 10 seconds left on the shot clock? Yeah. Did he pay the price for that a few times? Yeah. Was it a reminder that this changeover to the new style of offense, in which, you know, there are times where it's the beautiful basketball, but there are also times where Brunson's going to have to do a little bit of heavy lifting? It's a reminder that it's going to take a while to fully get in. That's going to take a while to fully get indoctrinated. Brunson's always going to be able to do Brunson things, but to be able to blend that stuff with the higher pace and with the movement and all that, it's going to take time. But thankfully, Jalen Brunson, one of the best basketball players alive, and he helped bring us home. The other old part that came up big tonight, and he did not shoot the basketball well tonight. I do not think he made a basket. I will double check that right now. He made 1 basket and he had 7 misses. And some of those misses, including the last one, which I think was closer to hitting Joe Mazzulla on the Celtics bench than it was to going in the hoop. So didn't shoot well. But Josh Hart reminded you that he is one of the most impactful basketball players alive. And the Knicks, I know they were up by 20-something points in this game. I know the final score, they ended up, winning by 10. I do not think the Knicks win this basketball game without Josh Hart's rebounding. He had 14 total rebounds in just under 19 minutes, including 6 on the offensive glass. And when I tell you he had some absolutely massive boards in this game, I was trying to write them all down midway through the fourth quarter, just before it was what ended up leading to a Jalen Brunson tough 2-pointer. Hart got a tough rebound on the defensive glass. Actually, I don't even think he was credited with a rebound, but he was the one responsible for keeping the ball in play and keeping the ball alive, not letting a Celtic get it. Cat got the rebound. Another great rebounding game from Cat. We're going to get to Cat in a second. And then that led to JB's tough 2. But earlier in the fourth, Hart had 2 offensive rebounds on 1 play. That was right before OG got hurt. Like, the number of times where they just needed a rebound and Josh Hart was there to get it, I thought, I lost count of them, but 14 rebounds in total. Now, because it's Josh Hart, and because the Josh Hart discussion can never be simple, will there be viewpoints that, like, hey, yeah, sure, the guy was all over the glass, but like, with what he's given back on the other end, where as of right now, he can't hit anything. Is that worth it? And I would offer that, and we saw it tonight. There are other ways that Josh Hart can impact an offense. I will say, though, look, we know he's dealing with a finger issue. Didn't look great tonight. I am willing to give Josh Hart the appropriate level of runway to figure out how to be something resembling a credible shooting threat with this finger. There may come a point in time where it is just too onerous for him to overcome, and then it's a different conversation. But his first game back, First time shooting a basketball in a game since the second game of the preseason. I don't even know if he shot the ball in his 7-minute stint then, but I want to give him some runway. I want to see what he could do with a little bit more time, and if he could figure out a way to shoot it with that bandage on his hand. So that's the old. We got the old. We needed the old to win, but we also got the new, and the new was great. Let's go through some other things of note before we turn it over to the super chats here. Karl-Anthony Towns, a classic cat game. A classic cat game in which you could say, and I might say that Cat, I mean, you could argue Cat was the best Knick in this game. You could. His 3 3-pointers were the only thing that kept the Knicks afloat in the first quarter. He got, again, a lot of tough rebounds, 13 rebounds in total, had 3 assists, had some really nice passes. And even though, there were some shots that you'd like him to make that he didn't make, and there were some turnovers that you would like him to not make that he did make, 5 in total. Like, in short, it was the full Karl-Anthony Towns experience, which we were reminded of is there's never a dull moment. It's always something with Cat, but, that's Cat. Bridges some tough looks towards the end there, missing some shots that you would like him to normally make, but otherwise he continues to play pretty outstanding defense. OG Anunoby, we talked about him, struggled a little bit from the field after a great game 1. It's okay. Defense, yet again, very good. Deuce McBride. Let's talk about Deuce. So, as it always is with Deuce, it's not totally about the what he does individually. It's about what he does just being out there and his impact just being out there. And again, it wasn't always pretty with this group. The lineup data for the night for New York starting 5, in 11 minutes and 39 seconds, they were outscored by 1 point, 23-24. Shout out to our friends at Pivot Fade for that. But you still like the look of it. You like the look of it. You like the feel of it. It made sense. You want to see more of it. Will we get more of it? Well, clearly we're going to get more of it because Mike Brown could have very easily started Ariel Hukporti tonight, and he did not, right after starting him in the last game. So clearly we're going to see more of this lineup. And defensively, was Deuce the best Knick defensive player of this game? I think he probably was. He had some competition for that, but I would say that Deuce was the best defensive player. And again, the Knicks won this game with defense. Boston missed some shots, but the Knicks won this game with defense. I'm trying to see if he had 1 steal and then the defensive play of the game. Deuce McBride's block on, I forget who we blocked, but it was the fast break opportunity that the Celtics had in the fourth quarter. You could sense that there was going to be a momentum shift if they had made a basket there. Deuce got the big block, go down the other way. Cat, couple of tough offensive rebounds, got the Moses Malone shout out from Stan Van Gundy. And then right after that, again, arguably the biggest shot of the game, not the nail in the coffin or anything, but the deep 3 from Cat that made it 87-72. Felt like it gave the Knicks the breathing room they needed to kind of bring it home. So again, overall good game from Cat, maybe the best player. Talked about Hart. Solid Clarkson minutes. You can tell he's still finding his way. Talked a lot about Kolek. Landry Shamet, quiet game tonight overall in 13 minutes. And then Yabusele. Hit a shot, which is good. It's nice. Yeah, I think it was a 3, actually. Yes, it was a 3. Both shots he took were 3s. Made one of them. That's good. I don't really know how to say this other than to just kind of come out and say, if you're a professional basketball player and you are expected to, and you're getting minutes for a team that has designs on winning an NBA championship, you got to be in shape. You just do. And me and DJ touched on it in the last show, and DJ is the one who kind of pointed it out when the Knicks put out his listed weight. look, I got a text from someone who was at the game tonight, and they're like, however bad it looks on TV, it's worse in person. There was some other things said in that text. I won't repeat, but yeah. So look, is this the sort of thing where he's going to need to just play himself into shape over the course of the season? I guess. But when you are dead to rights, anytime someone has you one-on-one and you cannot move laterally with that offensive player, that's a problem. Yeah, I feel bad singling him out, but like, team gave you $10 million this summer, and they did it in the beginning of the summer. And yeah, the whole summer to kind of get yourself ready. And it just, forgive me for saying this, it does not look like he's ready. I think that's it. I mean, I have some other notes and stuff here. Great job as a team rebounding. I singled out Cat and Josh Hart individually, but the Knicks as a team out rebounded Boston 53-37, which if you're going to beat Boston, A, you got to either hope that they miss threes, or B, you got to out rebound them. Tonight, both things happened. 45 threes for the Knicks attempted. They hit 37.8%. Both of those dogs will hunt any day of the week. Overall, the Knicks shot very poorly tonight. They shot 38.4% from the field. Felt like they missed a lot of easy looks, or a lot of looks that they would usually make. Hopefully those will start to go down. Again, we talked about they got very sloppy with the ball, in part because of Boston's pressure in the third quarter, in part because they were just sloppy with the ball. 20 turnovers, that number is obviously not going to cut it. Want to be more like they were in the last game. If you're around 14, 12, 13, 14, you live with that. 20, you don't live with that. That's not okay. And then the last thing, again, to end where I started with the new and the old. How's this for new? New York 15 fast break points. The Boston Celtics 2. That's more than the margin of difference in the game. So if you want to say the Knicks won this game on the break, I think you could say that the Knicks won this game on the break. Look, really nice win. You got to win the ugly games just as much as you do have to win the pretty games where everything is going well. Just to zoom out one sec before we get to super chats. The excitement, I didn't. We were all excited before game one. Maybe a little nervous, but mostly excited. And there was absolutely a world where, depending on what we saw, that excitement could have dissipated and could have lessened. For me, my excitement has now grown. And my excitement has grown because it is very, very clear. And look, I know the old coach is going to come up tonight. I may have even gotten a glimpse at a super chat from an old friend of mine. And look, there's no escaping it. There's no escaping it. It's like the patriarch, longtime patriarch of a family that departs, and it's like his aura, his presence kind of hovers over the whole thing because you were just with it for so long. When you do things one way for as long as this organization did, and then you knew what those ways were going to be, and you kind of had to accept the fact that it was like, all right, well, it's either going to work or it's not going to work, but we know what we're going to get. And was there a value in that stability? Obviously, there was a value in that stability. One conference finals, 2 conference semifinals, another out of nowhere playoff berth. Obviously, there was some value in that. But sometimes to reach a new ceiling, you got to take chances. And the chance that they took was on someone who was going to come in, and for all of the ways that he is different from the man whose job the man he replaced, the unpredictability, the willingness to go with the flow, the reacting to what is happening, and, not being tied to any tenets other than I'm going to make the decisions I need to make to try to win the basketball game. Now, Mike Brown obviously will not be judged after 2 games. He will not be judged after 22 games. He will not be judged after 82 games. He will be judged after some number of games after that. So, but so far, listen, all you can do is play the teams on your schedule, and all you can do is play the games that are in front of you right now. And the Knicks are doing that, and they're doing it pretty well. A lot of great stuff. Again, lots to be excited about. And I don't think I'm missing anything. So I am going to wait for Kevin to put up our first thing on the screen as I give a quick little blow of the old nose because I am struggling. I love it. All right. Shout out to our friends at Fanatics who gave us $48 in FanCash. Remember, of course, the Fanatics store where you could get all kinds of Knicks gear. Your FanCash is good there. And $48 in FanCash, that could get me some pretty good stuff. So let's see what they have to say. Knicks wins over Boston are more fun than fun is fun. Here's $48 in FanCash, which is also how many points the Knicks have outscored the Celtics by in their last 2 games at the one and only Madison Square Garden. Get yourself a new Knicks jersey on Fanatics.com this weekend. Yeah, great stuff on the Fanatics store. FanCash is great to use on there. So shout out to them, our presenting sponsor. Okay, now we're ready to go. All right, I knew it was coming. It's our guy, Busy. How you doing, Busy? I was waiting. I knew it was coming. I figured you'd wait for the right moment. I think this is it. With almost the same roster from last year, is it safe to say Mike Brown is a better coach than the one we had previously? To be answered later in the year, just something to ponder. Busy right now, it is impossible to look at how the Knicks are playing, how much they have bought in, and how in 2 games where like not everything has gone right, like clearly, like they missed a lot of shots in the first game. Obviously they've had to deal with injuries. They had sloppiness tonight. They had droughts tonight. I didn't even mention they went like 5 minutes and change without scoring between the third and the fourth quarter. It is impossible to say that Mike Brown isn't, or a better coach for this team right now than Tom Thibodeau would have been. Am I saying the Knicks couldn't have gone 2-0 without Tibbs? No, I'm not saying that. But, things had pretty clearly gotten stale. And something I haven't discussed on the pod yet, and I didn't know if I was going to discuss it on the pod, and I may have to get my guy Ian O'Connor to come on here and talk about this at some point. Ian O'Connor, great author of God knows how many books. I have like half a dozen of them here in my sports library. Wrote an article a couple days ago, I think it was, about how there may have been a bit of a feeling of betrayal on the part of one Tom Thibodeau, and specifically, that maybe certain people that he expected to come to his defense, maybe Jalen Brunson, maybe Rick Brunson, maybe those people did not. And I could just say that at the time it happened, I had heard that there was definitely a sense of betrayal. That's how he felt. Now, is that true? We have no idea. My point in bringing it up is not to just kick up dirt for no reason. My point in bringing it up is there's no question that Jalen Brunson is the most important person in the Knicks organization. If Jalen Brunson wanted Tom Thibodeau to be the coach this year, he'd be the coach this year. So whether there was whatever happened, again, whatever happened, the fact that Brunson did not go to bat for Tibbs to the degree that he needed to, obviously, to keep him, or maybe just was like, once he got wind of what was going on, was like, you know what? That should say something. That should say something. Because you know what Jalen Brunson wants to do more than anything in the whole wide world? He wants to win. So if there was a part of Jalen Brunson who owes Tibbs, owes Tibbs a lot. If there was a part of Jalen Brunson that was ready to move on to a new coach, I think, again, I'll repeat what I said a minute ago. Mike Brown is the better coach for this team at this point in time. Nothing else you have to say. Thanks, Busy. Appreciate you, man. Dennis DiSabato, what's going on, man? Sorry to have missed the game 1 post-game KFS. That's all good. Hope we're close this year, or we close this year. Need to shoot better. Taking my 7-year-old daughter to her first MSG game for Heat, the Heat in-season tournament game. Oh, that's awesome. I actually don't know off the top of my head when that game is, but I hope you have a great time. Stoked for this year. Well, I think we're all pretty stoked for this year, Dennis. Appreciate you chiming in, and I hope you guys get to see a win. You better just hope I'm not there, because I have the absolute worst luck in the world when it comes to going to Knicks games, at least with KFS, which is why I will not be going to any Knicks games with KFS this year, because I'm sick and tired of seeing terrible basketball and losses. All right. Thanks, Dennis. Appreciate you. Sam Garcia, what's going on, man? Great to hear from you. I attended the church of Mike Brown and found God. I think a lot of Knicks fans are feeling like they found God and they're seeing the light. And again, it manifests itself in so many ways. And I'll just repeat what we started the last post-game show with, which is that it is a breath of fresh air. You never know what you're going to see on any given night. How great is that? Actually, now I realize I could just look it up right now, because OG, OG at the 5. I checked it yesterday on Cleaning the Glass that tracks the positional stuff. 0% of OG Anunoby's minutes came at the 5 last year. And we saw minutes at the 5 in game 1. And tonight we had Towns 33 minutes, Yabusele 13 minutes, which leaves 2 minutes left over. Yeah, that sounds about right. 2 minutes for OG. And it's like, all right, 2 minutes. Whoop-de-doo. No. The fact that there's a possibility that we might see those 2 minutes, and that we actually did see those 2 minutes, that is what we're talking about. That is what I'm talking about right now. Just the mere possibility that you're going to get something a little out of the box. And again, I'm saying it's out of the box, knowing full well, for the vast majority of fan bases around the league, it is not out of the box to see things like a true small ball lineup. But for us, it feels out of the box, because it was so outside of the box the last 5 years. It like you couldn't see the box. You were so far away from the box. So yeah. Thanks, Sam. IMAK legend. Take your ass home, Boston. It never gets old beating those guys. We had Boston's number a little bit a couple years back. Then the shoe was on the other foot. And then obviously the playoffs happened. Look, I have a lot of respect for that organization. I have a lot of respect for the coach, certainly. I know not all Celtics fans love Joe Mazzulla, but and they have a system. They know what they're doing. I thought, how they were able to maneuver with the apron and the cap and everything they did a pretty damn good job of that this summer. Fully expect Anthony Simons to have a new home by February, so they could duck the tax, and that's a dangerous thing for the rest of the league. So anyway, yeah, they're a good team, but we beat them tonight. So fuck off, Boston. Thanks, IMAK Legend. Appreciate you. Wondering Tumnus, great to see you again. Shout out to everybody who was in the chatnix.com app. Again, all you got to do is go to chatnix.com. I'm in there chatting it up the whole game. Whenever I'm not doing a watch long, I'm in the app. We had some great conversation going, including before the game, talking about the new starting lineup, and always good. It's like good conversation. So if you're a Knicks fan, download the app and check it out. We got some news coming up regarding the app and a giveaway we're going to be doing. OG could take my leg. I have to. I should probably keep an eye on my little phone here to see if Mike Brown has said anything. Oh, here we go. This is from 11 minutes ago. OG Anunoby would have been able to go back in the game if needed, Mike Brown said. Anunoby had a cramp and left the floor in the fourth quarter. Seems like a non-issue. That's great news. I fully expect him to go into next game questionable. And then on Deuce with Pride in the starting lineup, Mike Brown said he went with Deuce because Boston started the game with a smaller lineup. Yeah, that's what I expected. So, yeah. And then giving praise to Josh Hart, called him a monster, guarded everybody. I don't know if I've ever seen this before. 14 rebounds in 19 minutes. Only Josh Hart, man. He's 1-1. And really, really happy he's on our basketball team. Thank you, Wondering Tumnus. Big Stu. What's going on, Big Stu? How you doing, brother? Knicks didn't play that well, in my opinion. No, they did not play that well. They played okay. But they still won by double digits. This is special. Enjoy these moments. We earn this as a fan base. It's funny to hear you say that because you could argue that life as a Knicks fan over the last 5 years has been better than like life as a fan of 75% of the rest of the league. I actually don't even think that's that controversial. You know, I know at times it has felt not the case. Specifically last season, which was just, I mean, I don't want to talk about last season anymore. Last season was just a weird season and not a particularly fun one. But hey, look, if you're still referring back, look, we had 20 years where it was with one major year. It was an exception, and like a couple parts of other years that were the exception. It was all bad. So we got a lot more years of good left to make up for all the bad stuff that came before. So, let's hope it keeps going. Thanks, Big Stu. Richard David, what's going on, Richard? How you doing, man? That, my good sir, is officially a streak. Predict a number for us. How many wins before we get stopped? We really are not playing that well yet. How many more games? So I saw Miami tonight was kicking the ever-loving snot out of a decent team. My God. Memphis. So hold on, I'll pop open this box score. 146-114 in Memphis. Miami won. They made half their threes. Shot extremely well. They shot 102 field goals. My Lord. And I mean, they were just hitting. It wasn't any one person. Bam Adebayo hit 4 of 8 from. When Bam Adebayo hits 4 of 8 from 3, it's probably not your night. Yeah, just a lot of different guys contributed. So look, Miami, it's their home opener on Sunday night. Obviously, we know there's gonna be a lot of Knicks fans down there. Do I hope the Knicks are going to win that game? Yes, I do hope the Knicks are going to win that game. If they can win that, then you go to Milwaukee on Tuesday. Milwaukee, good, tough win tonight. The Raptors were up for most of that game. Milwaukee pulled it out. Giannis is playing like he wants another MVP. And then you got to go to Chicago, who, like, I don't know if that's going to carry over from past seasons, but Chicago always plays us well. I put a number on it. Let me just say this. Sorry to be Debbie Downer. They played now 3 straight road games at Miami, at Milwaukee, at Chicago. I do not think that they will come home undefeated. If they do, I will happily eat that crow right over there. Thanks, Richard. Matt, Nick Scotland. Came all the way over here to this side of the pond. I saw you on Twitter, your picture on Twitter all day long. I was scrolling and I saw you with this person, that person, with my girl Rebecca. Great stuff, man. Anyway, Tyler Kolek, born to play basketball. I appreciate what you're doing. I obviously see what you're doing. Born to play basketball. That's reserved for one man and one man only. I already know who that man is. But no, Kolek. You know what? What happened to him at the end of the third quarter and the beginning of the fourth quarter? That's great experience for him. That's great experience for him. And I don't like seeing that. I'm not like, oh, the Kolek thing went up in smoke. No, he's gonna learn. He'll get better. He'll figure it out. Like we could say it like these are the most hashtag meaningful minutes he has played as an NBA player. So this is all kind of new for him, even though he's a second year guy. So yeah, he'll figure it out. Thanks, man. Star through hoops. Thank you for the contribution. 31 for Brunson and 26 for Cat, and they didn't work too hard for it. Tip of the cap to the new look offense. Did they work hard for it? That's an interesting question. I would agree with you that Cat worked hard on the boards. You know, he had a couple arduous drives, 6 threes for Cat. That's like the bare minimum of what I want him taking it, especially when, by the way, he made 4 of them. If you're 4 or 6 from 3, you played 33 minutes. Why are you only taking 6 threes? You know, that's the one annoying part. He took 16 shots and 6 of them were threes. It should have been 6 of them were 2s. That's the proper shot distribution for Karl-Anthony Towns. But I digress. Brunson, look. Brunson went back into Brunson mode in the fourth quarter at times. It was kind of needed. It was also kind of stagnant. So it's like, you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. You know, was it a little bit more work for him? Yeah, but here's the thing. He wasn't working that hard throughout the first segment, half, 3/4, whatever, of the game. So he had that energy. And by the way, you know who looks, to me at least, a little bit better on defense, at least in this game, maybe not the last game? Jalen Brunson. Maybe he knows he has to exert some more of the energy on that end of the floor. Because that's going to be a big part of this team winning if they want to succeed at a high level. Thanks, Star Through Hoops. Appreciate you. Kevin Danishevsky. Hi, Kev. How are you? Deuce plus McCall plus OG plus Mitch has a chance to be a special defensive combination when everyone's here. It's why your Cat not closing playoff games isn't crazy. Well, it might be a little crazy. Here's why. We heard Mike Brown say that tonight's decision to start Deuce as opposed to Huck Porty was matchup specific. And obviously I believe him because he's clearly does not seem like the type of coach who's going to get up there and spout bullshit like someone else we know. So why did I just bring that up? I had, for much of the preseason, and actually most of the summer, been going under the assumption that Mike Brown wanted a certain modicum of defensive stability at the 5, and that we were going to get, you know, only 10 to 15 minutes a game with Cat at the 4. Is it possible like Boston's the only team he's going to do this with? Maybe. But to me, if he is really, you know, as flexible as it sure seems like he's going to be, like clearly Cat's one of his best players, you know. And here's the other thing: if he's going to go with Deuce and McCall and OG, and this offense really gets humming, then 2 things could happen. One, the 3 of them insulate, and maybe with Deuce at the point of attack, by the way, insulate Cat and his poor defense more than what we would see at times last year. And two, and this is, again, talk about wet dreams of every Knicks fan. Maybe by the time we get to the playoffs, and this thing has a lot of time to get experience and rev up, maybe that 5-out offense just becomes unguardable. And the best defense is, the other team has to take the ball out of the basket every time before it comes up the court. So I don't know. I agree with you. It's tantalizing to think about that defensive lineup. But we'll see. I think, again, the nice thing, all of this stuff is up in the air right now. We don't know the answers to any of this. An interesting quote from Jalen Brunson. Says his per SNY Knicks. Says his mentality has not changed at all heading into the season. Playing basketball schematically has changed a little bit, but my mentality will never. If that changes, it's time to think otherwise. Yeah, you could probably take that, like a lot of Brunson quotes, you could probably take it a few different ways. I think I get what he means, though. His mentality is like, do whatever it takes to win. And if I need to shoot, I'm going to shoot. Thanks, Kev. Altered Yeast. What's going on, Altered Yeast? Shamit was fucking awesome. What did Shamit? Did Shamit have a better game than I gave him credit for? I kind of poo-pooed Shamit. He was the first sub. He got a really tough rebound. Thought his defense was good. Let me look at his stat line again. He had a couple of turnovers. 3 rebounds in 14 minutes. Made it 3. -8 in 14 minutes. It's not great. I thought he had a fine game. How's that? Thanks, Altered East. Carlos. Ever measured. I've seen enough. We're going 82-0. I guess the question at this point for me is whether I want to revise my under bet. Now, I couched it as much as you could couch an under bet by saying, all right, they're 53.5. I think they're going to win 53 games. I don't know, man. I've been trying to watch as much basketball as I could the last, start of the season and everything. There are so many freaking good teams. Like I have Spurs, Pelicans, which just ended. Spurs are 2-0. 120, 116, San Antonio. Like, those teams are good. I watched tried to keep an eye on as much as I could on Atlanta, Orlando. That was a gnarly game. But, like, those teams, like, here's the thing. There's a lot of good teams out there. And I just think there's, like, very few bad teams out there. Although, who might be bad? The Dallas Mavericks, who are currently about to lose to the Washington Wizards in Dallas. But we only play the Mavs twice. I still feel, again, you see the growing pains a little bit. The injuries are a thing already. Low to mid 50s is where I'm at. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I am made to look foolish with that prediction. Thanks, Carlos. Michael Aaron, what's going on, buddy? The 2 things that give me life, my kid and Josh Hart rebounds. There we go. A little Josh Hart loving the super chats. We needed some of that. Come on. It's crazy that I loved that when he checked into the game tonight, there was a legitimate standing ovation for Josh Hart. I've said it before. The worst thing by far that the previous coach ever did was not turn the fan base against Josh Hart, because that never happened. That's just not true. But like, turns him into the divisive figure that he is for a lot of people. Because that's not how he should be viewed. He's an imperfect player, yeah, but you know what? There's a lot of imperfect players in the NBA who are beloved and should be beloved by their fan bases. And if Josh Hart wasn't going out there playing 38 minutes a game last year, he would have been universally beloved by this fan base, as opposed to someone that was kind of a lightning rod. So happy to give him a shout out through you, Michael. Dom Cappuccini. I'm going to check the DMs tomorrow. I promise, buddy. I am very pleased with 2-0. I wasn't too annoyed by the second half. It appears Boston still has championship pride, and that will likely guide them back to the playoffs. I would have been annoyed by the second half if they didn't. So the 8-0 start to the third, I was a little annoyed. And then they called timeout, and eventually they increased the lead. So I was like, okay, they came out sluggish, timeout, they got serious, and they built the lead back up bigger than it was before. So if the sluggishness continued after the timeout, that would have annoyed me. Of course, if that happened, they might have lost the game. The other stuff, the turnovers and, how they maybe didn't deal with the pressure great. I don't know that I was annoyed by that. Again, it happens. All of this is an adjustment. So overall, I thought the team played hard the whole night, which is always the most important thing. And, they hustled, got after it on the boards. Will championship pride guide Boston back to the playoffs? Man, they're 0-2, played 2 tough games, lost 2 tough games. I don't know. Again, it's like the league right now is just like, here's Boston's next handful of games. At Detroit. Well, that's not going to be an easy game. At New Orleans. I know you might. Okay, New Orleans. They stink. I'm telling you, I watched that. I was keeping an eye on that Spurs game tonight. New Orleans will come in there and they'll play hard. Cleveland at home. Sixers at Philly. Philly just beat Boston in Boston. And then 3-game homestand, Houston, Utah, Washington, and then back-to-back at Orlando. Like, what did let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 11 games. And then at Philly. So they play Philly 3 times in the first 12 games. Like, could they be 4-8 after those 12 games? Probably not. Maybe 5-7. I would probably pick them for 5-7 at this point, given that they're already 0-2. They still have a lot of skill. Like, at their top end, is still really good. Brown is really good. White's really good. Pritchard's really good. But it gets shaky pretty fast. And, I like Stan Van Gundy was gushing over the Gonzalez kid. Yeah, he's a nice player, but like they got a deficit. And I don't know. I think I would not pick them to be a top 8 team if I had to pick right now. I think maybe 8th, but I don't know. It would be a stretch. Thanks, Dom. Dom with another one. Happy to have Hart back. I can't help but wonder what is bothering him more, the back or the finger. I have a feeling he's making that surgery decision soon. I don't know, man. If he was going to have the surgery, I think he would have had it a month ago or month plus, whatever. I just don't think Josh Hart is built like that. And I don't think anyone's going to. I don't know if they are trying to convince him to have the surgery. I don't know if. I have no idea. I don't expect him to have the finger surgery. But what do I think is bothering him more? I don't know. I mean, he said he was interviewed tonight and he said he just was very fatigued. He played 18 minutes. But what I will say about Hart, like the notion that he should just go balls to the wall for 22 minutes a game this year, like that's, and there'll be some nights he plays more than that, of course. But I think that's maybe the way things are shaping up, barring obviously additional injuries. Maybe that's the path. Maybe that's the path to glory. We'll see. Thanks, Tom. Hush Zoo, what's going on, Hush? Great to hear from you, my man. Hart's rebounding has to be studied genuinely. The ball gravitates towards that man. Now, man, he gets after it. He makes that shit happen. as much as any. He is the best pound for pound rebounder the Knicks have had since Charles Oakley. And that is, I cannot issue loftier praise than that. Charles Oakley's rubbed a lot of people the wrong way the last few years. His best rebounder I've ever seen in Knick uniform. And Hart, again, pound for pound. And again, Oakley played in a different era where you could get away with a lot more. Hart plays now. So he's just, you could measure height, you could measure weight, you could measure shooting percentages. You can't measure toughness or will. I said it at the time, I'll say it again. I was already probably sold for life, but when Josh Hart attempted to play Game 7 against the Pacers 2 years ago, in 2024, when he did that after how he left the previous game, I said, whatever this guy does for the rest of his career, I'm always going to be ride or die for him. I don't care if he never makes another shot again. And he is. McCall should look for his shot more, but great win. 2-time coach of the year for a clutch player of the year, excuse me, for JB. Maybe. We'll see. Not crazy. I thought McCall looked for a shot, a decent amount. I mean, how many threes did he take tonight? I don't feel like he didn't take a ton of threes. Did he take 3, 4? 4. He was 2 of 4. So yeah, I guess that probably should take it more. Thanks, Hush. Stevens Guillaume. Yeah, you changed the avatar, man. It's great to see. I didn't recognize you. Another win, 14 rebounds. Thank you for the generosity, by the way. 14 rebounds in 19 minutes. Josh Hart is ridiculous. The team still has some work to do. Could do without the turnovers. Yeah, no, they definitely have work to do, but it's, you know what the nice thing seems to be with this offense? Like, yeah, they'll miss shots, but barring that stretch where they were having trouble get the ball up the floor, it feels like a good shot is always around the corner. Like at no time in this game when they actually got shots off, which to your point could do without the turnover. So you got to actually shoot it to either make or miss it. When they were actually shooting, they never went more than, I don't know, 2 possessions, if that, without getting a quality shot. They had so many quality shots on goal tonight, just like they had so many quality shots on goal on opening night. And they weren't going down to start the game against Cleveland, and they weren't going down, in the first quarter of this game. And for a long stretch, they were Brunson, his bucket at the start of midway through the fourth, ended a stretch where they were 1 for 9. A lot of those were good looks. They're getting good shots. So I feel like, yes, work to do for sure, but something's working. Something's working. Cleveland, respectable defense. Celtics, even with the injuries, respectable defense. They're getting good shots against these teams. It's encouraging. Appreciate you, Stevens. Paul McFarland, what's going on, Paul? How you doing, buddy? Sloppy second half, but the second quarter and all the ball movement shows the potential of this team. Combine that with a win, and I can't complain. Let's fucking go Knicks. Yeah, we should say the line score. I don't know if you call it a line score from this game. First quarter, 22 points. Second quarter, 42 points. Third quarter, 18 points. Fourth quarter, 23 points. It's a shame. It's a damn shame David Fizdale is not the coach of the Boston Celtics, because I guarantee, channeling my inner Charles Barkley there, I guarantee you David Fizdale would be standing in front of that microphone saying, hey, we won 3 quarters tonight. All we need to do is win that one extra little quarter. We're this close. One more quarter to go. I would bet any amount of money that he would have said something to that effect. But he's not the coach of Boston Celtics. So shout out to him. Thanks, Paul. Dom with another one. Thank you, Dom. Even with injuries, I have to say that the defensive chemistry 2 games in is so far ahead from most of last season. I am beyond thrilled by this. Yeah, no, defensive chemistry has been really good. Couple of frustrating cat moments in this game. Not nothing that was like made me want to completely pull my hair out. It was one, I think it was at the beginning of the game. He was in drop, and it was like, why are you in drop, dude? But like, again, you're always gonna get those moments. But overall, I agree with you. It's been good. And I think the key word that you're talking about is chemistry. They are switching. I don't know if I'd say they're switching liberally, but they're switching. There is evidence of good rotations. It doesn't feel like there's a ton of confusion on the defensive end. I don't know if that's just my read. I will say the Boston Celtics missed a lot of good looks tonight, but then again, so did the Knicks. Both teams missed a lot of good open looks tonight. So I'm not going to feel bad about this win. Not for one single solitary second. And on that note, where are we going here? Hold on. Wait, Kev. Because, of course, I don't have my shit together. When has Macri ever not had a shit together? Okay, there you go. Because you know what I need in my life? I need a little cornbread. If you've been looking, like me, like all of us, who's not looking for this, a natural way to relieve aches and discomfort, the CBD gummies from Cornbread Hemp are formulated to work with your body and not against it, which is why when you're, I don't know, a 42-year-old man who's still trying to maintain his physical and mental well-being, but also just needs to relax and get a good night's sleep, Cornbread Hemp CBD gummies are exactly the peace of mind that I need. You know the deal. They can relieve discomfort, relieve stress, help you with sleeplessness, third-party lab tested, USDA organic. We love the product here at Knicks Film School, which is why we want our listeners to love it too. You can save 30% off on your first order. All you got to do is head to cornbreadhemp.com/KFS. Use code KFS at checkout. Again, that's cornbreadhemp.com/KFS. And use code KFS at checkout. Shout out to Cornbread. Okay. Home stretch. Pleasure with another one. Weirdly enough, Clarkson has been very tame so far. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. I did not think that, he went out there in the preseason and played like it was the Wild Wild West. I did not think that was going to fly, because I think Clarkson knew if he did that sort of stuff, that would not fly with this coach. Clarkson, first game, I think did he get 14 or 15 minutes? In this game, 16 minutes. Rarely do I feel as strongly about a prediction, have as much conviction with a prediction, as I did about this one and be dead wrong. I did not think that there was a chance in hell that either Clarkson or Yabusele were going to play much less than 20 minutes a game. And so far tonight, you had Yabusele for 13. And it probably should have been less. I'm sure Mike Brown, he played less tonight than he did the other night. I wonder how many minutes he plays in the next game. But Clarkson, 16 minutes in this game, not, even fewer in the first game. Look, he's a minimum salary player, so I get it, but he kind of came with some level of cachet. Obviously, started off the year like second or third on a lot of, predictions for sixth man of the year, if you buy what Vegas is selling. So, but like Mike Brown, if nothing else is clear, he is not being pressured or feeling pressured to playing certain guys, certain numbers of minutes that they like, quote unquote, should get. And it has resulted in 10 men playing tonight, 11 men playing the other night. I'm gonna be dead wrong on this. Even when they're fully healthy, I think I'm gonna be dead wrong on this. I said there's no way when they're fully healthy they're gonna play more than 9 guys, and It sure seems like they are. So, you know what? Happy to be wrong. I'll just say that. Thanks, Hush. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, Anthony? Small moments. You know, I had this in my notes, and I did not shout him out for it. I wrote it. It was in the midway through the third quarter, right? If it's the one I'm thinking of. Deuce forced Simon's turnover, 6:20, third quarter. I think that's the one you're talking about. Anyway, Deuce picking up Simons at 90 early, not allowing him to warm up. Deuce boxing someone into the stands, big picture, manageable pace. Yeah, tonight was a manageable pace. Again, Deuce just on a night where what's the best thing a player could be? A player could be someone that when he's not shooting well, he could still play well. We know Tibbs said that a lot. The reality is that there are certain players when they're not shooting well, it is really tough. It's really, really hard for them to make a positive impact. And Deuce tonight, again, shot 2 of 9 from the 3 and 3 of 11 from the field. He was a positive tonight and an unquestioned positive tonight. So that's a great compliment to Deuce McBride. It's a great situation for the Knicks to be in. I tell you, man, I'm curious to hear some predictions about the number of starts certain players will get for the rest of the year. Because, man, at this point with Mitch, who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? So if you wanted to tell me that Deuce McBride starts more games than either Mitch or Huckporty the rest of the season, I believe you. If you tell me that Huckporty is going to start more games than the other two, I believe you. And if you tell me that Mitch is going to come back and he's going to start more games than the other two, I believe you. I would believe any of those three. We'll see. Thanks, Anthony. By the way, I should say we did get, before I forget, at the end of the second quarter, we got the starting lineup for last year, the one that nobody ever wanted to see again. They look pretty good. Just throwing that out there. Nick Head, what's going on, Nick Head? I know it's early, but man, things are feeling good. There's going to be some growing pains, of course, but for now, it's feeling good. Let's go Knicks. Yeah, it is feeling good. And it's okay to, we've been through different versions of this over the years as Knicks fans where, we have to examine, whether we're allowed to be as happy as we are or be, I'm trying to, when they beat Philly in the first round or even maybe Detroit in the first round last year, look at these guys celebrating a first round win like it's a championship. No. Again, to the super chatter earlier, we do deserve this and feel good about it because there was no guarantee that this was going to work as well as it has so far. Look, and then actually even more to your point, there's no guarantee it's going to keep working as well as it looks right now. So yeah, feel good about how it's looking right now because an NBA season is long and there's going to be downs as well as there is ups. So yeah. There you go. Thanks, Nick Head. Richard David, what's going on, Richard? Also, shout out to your new show. You, Fred, and Jeff were entertaining and insightful with Fred's normal shenanigans. Hashtag NBA Takedown. Richard, I promise I did not bribe Richard to say that. The fact that you're making a super chat to shout it out, I appreciate it. Yes, I will do the shameless plug. For anybody who hasn't heard about it yet, for anybody who hasn't actually heard the show, I do have a new NBA show. It is called NBA Takedown. You could search for NBA Takedown on YouTube. You could search for NBA Takedown wherever you get your podcasts. Actually, that's not true. I think we're only on Apple or Spotify right now. I got to get it up on other places. But 3 shows a week. We did a show, me and Jeff and Fred Katz today. We went through some early season overreactions, or what was meant to be a show about early season overreactions. And of course, because it's Fred Katz, we ended up getting into the 2004 Los Angeles Clippers and Corey Maggette. And Corey Maggette, according to Fred, having the greatest NBA nickname of all time, which I will not repeat on this program because there might be children watching. But it was a funny moment. And there were half a dozen other gems just like that. It's been a lot of fun to be able to talk about the league in a way that I want to talk about the league, because I love the league. I've always loved the league. I always say, yes, I'm a Knicks fan first, but I love the NBA. And, you know, obviously I don't have, like, do I have the expertise of a Zach Lowe or, someone who is in locker rooms and everything? No, but there's still a way to be informative and engaging and put out a great NBA podcast. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of it so far. So thank you, Richard. I really do appreciate that. And everybody out there, yes, please check out NBA Takedown. Got an interview with Yaron Weissman, author of the book, The Hollywood Ending. There we go. Shout out to Yaron. I did that interview with Yaron yesterday, and that's going to be up on the Takedown channel pretty soon. We had a great conversation about a whole bunch of stuff. And got a couple other special guests coming up. Shout out to Jeff J. Shout out to Sean Hardy. They're doing the show with me most days as my co-hosts. So, yeah, check that out. Thank you, Richard. Really appreciate that. And another one from Richard, Tyler Kolek, the Rhode Island Michael Jordan. Well, you know what that's going to make me do? Greatest NBA players from Rhode Island. Okay. This is not an inspiring list. But I can't tell, is this Rhode Island College or Rhode Island, just the state of Rhode Island? So I think it's the state of Rhode Island. Number 1 is Marvin Barnes. And I always forget if this is Marvin Bed. No, this is not. It's Jim Barnes. This is a different Barnes. Marvin Barnes, NBA. Marvin Barnes is a good player. Yeah, bad news. Okay, I wasn't crazy. 2-time All-Star. He played in the ABA for the first 2 years of his career. That's when he made the All-Star teams. But then he had a solid career in the NBA. He was Rookie of the Year in the ABA. So we got Marvin Barnes, Michael Carter Williams, apparently, from Rhode Island. Ricky Leto, according to this, is the 3rd best player ever. This list that I just Googled from Rhode Island. Listen, man, I'm looking at some of these people. If Tyler Kolek sticks around, Demetrius Nichols, once a Nick, always a Nick. Yeah. This might be Rhode Island College. I don't know. In any case, whatever. Tyler Kolek, it seems like there's a lane here for you. Go and grab that title. Appreciate you, Richard. Malik Haddad, what's going on, Malik? I know it's early, but as someone who has seen Langston Galloway as a starting point guard, being 2-0 feels great. Since we get to see the bench so much, who are you most excited about? Oh, great question. Who am I most excited about? On the bench? I guess can I pick my pride? No, I'll say Kolek, which is Malik. When I tell you that is not the answer I thought I would give, if you would ask me this question at literally any other time in Tyler Kolek's Knick career, seriously, I'm going to keep going back to it. I think something shifted in him in the preseason. I think something woke up, something whatever snapped, kicked into high gear, whatever you want to say. And I want to see, is this kid a real NBA backup point guard? And I want to believe that he is, because that would be a cool story. If the Knicks plucked another early 2nd round pick after Mitchell Robinson and Deuce Pride, another guy that could contribute to winning in a real way. So I'll say Kolek as of right now. Thanks, man. Another one from Busy. Brunson and Cat can be challenged to play defense. Who knew? To their credit, Benji and DJ were on it last year, only if they coached the Knicks. Yeah, I mean, look, I think it might be a little bit of everyone's on their best behavior to at the start of the Mike Brown era. I think the more likely thing is there was an expenditure of energy issue at times last year. And why was there an expenditure of energy issue last year? Because those guys knew how much heavy lifting they had to do. They knew how many minutes they were going to be playing, Brunson especially. And like, he is a human being. So I think if you know you're playing fewer minutes now, as I say that, it's not like Jalen Brunson's like he played 35 or 34 minutes the first game, played 35 minutes tonight. But I think they are maybe different caliber of minutes where, again, certainly not bringing up the ball every time. We saw a lot more tonight of other people bringing the ball up, Mikal Bridges especially. So it all ties together. So there we go. Will Oliver, what's going on, Will? Fuck Boston. That is all. Happy Friday, everyone. Listen, man, if that isn't the perfect way to end the post game, I don't know what is. Indeed, happy Friday, everyone. There are 36 minutes left in this Friday. I really wish I could have a drink, but I don't think that's what the doctor ordered. So I'm going to go bang out a newsletter and then rest this voice so I can sound a little bit better next time I am with you. Kev, that's it, right? We don't have anything else? Okay. 2 more. Oh, we got 2 more. Okay, so let's do the 2 more. I thought we were done. Jason. Oh, here we go. Jason M. Love the way the Knicks played. Not easy playing with a big lead. Just as Boston. Brunson hero ball is fine if it's just in one part of the game. Yeah. No, I mean, like, honestly, the way the NBA is today, it's like when a team goes up by double digits, all it is the first act of a 3-act play. You know? And like, yeah, there are occasions where the lead just keeps building bigger and bigger and bigger, and the team that's down, never gets back in the game. But like, I feel like, I don't know, 75, 80% of the time, a team will go up, between 15 and 20 points, and then the other team will get back in the game to some degree. And then that's act 2, and then act 3 is like, okay, who's going to pull it out? So it's the comebacks always come. It's a matter of how do you handle them. And I thought what the Knicks, how they handled themselves at the beginning of the third quarter after the slow start was very important. And then I thought how they defended and rebounded in the fourth quarter when they were really struggling with the offense helped as well. Thanks, Jason. Okay. I think this is the last one. Richard David, again, counter 3-0 on the road, lose to the Bulls at the home back-to-back. I don't want to lose to the Bulls at home. Fuck that. I really don't want to lose to the Bulls at home. I would very much not like to do that. I was at a Bulls game at MSG last year, where Josh Hart fouled Kobe White's hair, and that was not a fun ending to that game. I'm very done losing to the Bulls at home. So let's hope that doesn't happen. But hey, if they go 3 on the road, that'd be great. All right, now we're out. Thanks everybody for checking out another edition of the Knicks Film School Postgame Show, presented by our friends at Fanatics. If you could be so kind as to like this video, if you're watching on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, please check out all of our extra content, whether that be on social media at Knicks Film School. That's SKOOL. My Knicks Film School newsletter, which again, I am now doing weekend newsletters after games. So there's going to be a newsletter in inboxes tomorrow morning. Not sure about 5 a.m. Maybe it'll probably be 5 a.m. I think I got enough in the tank to do a newsletter tonight, as well as our Patreon content. Benji had his first grade book after the Boston game or after the Cleveland game. Exceptional. And then DJ had his video breakdown today. It's like, again, 2 best in the business, and you can get access to it on the Knicks Film School Patreon. And yeah, if you have the time to give us a 5-star rating or write a review, those things would be nice as well. Okay, I think that's it. Everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you Not on Sunday because I am going into SNY to do the post game live there. But you'll be in great hands on Sunday. You'll be with Benji, and then you will see me on Tuesday. Okay. Talk to everybody later. Peace out.
Must be 21 or over? Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See Fanatics Sportsbook app.